Good afternoon, my name is KarQ. We have Overwatch hot takes that are supposed to be hot, unlike you. Hey guys, I finished the video and I realized there was no Wuang takes. I think I'll add my own hot take here because we've just uploaded a video about why I think Wuang doesn't need any buffs before his release next week. That's my hot take. I think his healing is totally acceptable, better than you think actually. It's better than Zenyatta's, and he's got crazy burst healing because people just don't know how he works. Amping the heal, pocketing them, using your Guardian wave, and if you take the perk that you ride your wave, or you ride your little surfer thing and you get like extra energy back while getting the amp, you can bring a tank up from like 1 HP up to like 500 pretty damn fast if you know what you're doing. But that's his role. He's a damage, dueling, focused poke support, and his healing feels lackluster to people because they just want a heal bot. If you're a heal bot or support, he's not a support for you, but that does not mean he's weak. That's my hot take for the week. First one of the week is from Miss My Shot. It is hot take. People know how to deal with Sombra more than they realize. I will admit I am not a good Sombra player, but she is my favorite DPS to play, and every time I try to play her in quick play or ranked, or the few times I can get her, I find it extremely difficult to stealth with her. Why? Because everyone has become better at spy checking for her over time, and yet she still gets regularly banned in my ranked games because everyone would rather not have to think about spy checking. They'd rather focus on the enemies in front of them or enemies they can easily see. Not a hot take. Always agree with the take that people are probably better than they realize, or they're just a little lazy, or they just don't want to deal with it. And that's usually like the biggest truth. They only like things front to back. And that's why majority of non-dive DPS players, so like a lot of support players, except Lucio, so a lot of like Ana players, BAP players, Zen players, they prefer Brawl or even like Poke because it's much more front to back or death volley. They keep their eyes peeled forward. Whenever you bring a flanker, a tracer, a Genji, a Sombra, a Black Panther, sorry, wrong game, and people are forced to turn around and shift their focus on a different angle in a place they aren't normally looking at, this frustrates players. Even though it's not that bad, because they are losing one person to go on that off angle and to pressure you, and you have to deal with it. A lot of people will be like, I'm just getting jumped, I need help. Sometimes you do have to fight them yourself, sometimes it's a little rough, but if you do spend some time to fight them off for a moment, that's fine. They spent one player to come on this off angle, so you do have to spend some time to survive. If you just ignore them the whole time and let them do whatever they want, they will dominate the game because they're getting more value doing that than not. If you just do your best to spy check or kick them out of stealth or just annoy them back and then turn around and refocus again, it's okay. I know it feels bad, like, oh my god, my tanks and everyone's losing their HP. How can I do my job when I'm getting flanked by one person? You're gonna have to deal with it. You have to deal with the people flanking you, and if you ignore them, they will run the game. Now, there are outliers, and obviously if there's more than one dive hero, Sombra plus a Tracer plus a Winston jump you, this all changes. But again, we're focusing on Sombra. She's not as bad as people think. She actually doesn't have a plus 50% win rate. She's just annoying, and that's valid, but she's dealable, and that's also valid. Hot take, remove perks. Wow, the first hot take of the week is to actually remove perks. Well, this is certainly hot. No, perks were a great addition to the game. I think the new perks that were teased and are coming to the game are fundamentally changing a lot more. They've been iterating. If you read the blog post or listened to me yap about the blog post from last week, they already teased a bunch of the new perks. I think Juno gets like the auto fire gun while she's in her glide boosters. Ana's getting some other perks removed and getting the nano boost where like she gets a speed boost and the teammate gets a speed boost. So it's like a 1.0 Ana from 2016. These are all modifiers that are hopefully going to enhance and change and keep the gameplay fresh. And honestly, as long as they keep cycling perks and they deal with the perks that are actually bad on heroes and actually shift them around and make heroes actually have better perks that are like good for more general gameplay and like situational gameplay, I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, they didn't hit the mark on some of the perks on their initial release, but now this is the season after what, 2 or 3 seasons of having it, where they're like, all right, let's actually shift things and really dial in on our philosophy on what we want for a hero. And I think if I'm going to paraphrase what Custa said, the hero designer on the perks, it's just like he wants the minor perks to be like, you know, a pretty good boost to what their base kit is, and the major perks should fundamentally change how they approach or play team fights and how they approach the rest of the game once they unlock it. And that holds true for a lot of them. Not all of them yet, but a lot of them are getting some big shifts, and we'll have to see what the rest of the perks have in store for us coming next week. Hot take, people aren't actually upset at Zarya's damage ramp up, but rather they're upset at the Extendo Beams perk that basically lets her have her hit scan you at almost half the map. I need to look up Zarya's perks again, because like, what are you referencing? Definitely not jump up, not graviton crush. Are you talking about energy lance? What is this extendo beams perk that you are talking about here? Jump ups is just self knock up movement. Graviton crush is the other minor one where the grab does more damage. Energy lance is the one that pierces people over 50 energy, and then spotter is the other one where, you know, the teammate that you give a bubble to gets more movement speed. You're talking about the energy lance one? I'm confused. I don't even think people take that perk that often, because like maintaining over 50 energy pretty hard over the course of a game. I think most average Zaryas have like 35 to 40, low 40% average energy rate throughout the entire game. If you look at your Zarya stats, you can confirm this for me, but I'm pretty sure that's that. Secondly, that accounts for people being consistently behind people to be pierced, so I'm a little confused here. If you're just talking about her base kit and using perks as like not a reference to the Overwatch perks, but like the fact that when her energy goes up, her beam gets thicker and longer. Now, I do think that's what you're referencing, so I'm trying to look up exactly how much more range the beam gets. I'm very aware that the knockback and the splash radius goes up when your energy goes up on the secondary fire, but I'm trying to see the beam information. I don't think it actually extends with higher energy, if I'm not mistaken. I do think the beam forgiveness is a little bigger because the beam is thicker, but like actual extendo beam range, I don't think so. A little more forgiving if you have bad tracking, but like that's about it. If you're already like a half decent Zarya with pretty decent aim, you're gonna be aiming pretty much center mass as best as you can anyways. I don't really think that's like the worst part about her kit. Like she just does a lot of damage and people don't respect her range well enough. In any case, maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, but yeah. Hot take, Junkrat is perfect as he is, to play as and to play against, and chaos incarnate. So many people complain about dying to random junk bombs or sneaky two shots, saying how unpredictable and skillless he is to play, but hitting his arcing projectiles takes some insane physics to pull off. If a bad junk player gets you with a random spam bomb, that should be on you for not seeing those coming. Those balls are visible and avoidable as hell. It takes a madman to be good at Junkrat, given he has no sustain or hard escape mobilities like fade or slide. Chaos is not meant to be predictable, but he is still very much preventable and killable. If a Junkrat gets value by assassinating you, applaud it and move on. If he gets value by spamming you, then you quite literally walked into that. Honestly, I actually kind of agree with this take. I think he's like good in the right ways, and he's pretty hard to play at a high level, and I think that's quite fair. I think the biggest complaint for Junkrat is the Junkrat players wanting their hero to be super OP in a big general list, like the Tracers, like the Sojourns, but that's just not the nature of the hero, and I think that's totally acceptable. Now, I do have some parts I want to unpack with your claims about Junkrat, though. Hitting arcing projectiles consistently does take insane physics and movement prediction and aim, I agree. If a bad junk player gets you with a random spam bomb, I wouldn't say that's completely on you for not seeing those coming. It's less about getting randomly directed across the map, because you can see them flying, but it's just like if he misses you and it bounces behind you, you've already done your job of assessing the bomb coming in, but like you're not going to waste your time turning around and seeing if the nade luckily or unluckily bounces to you. That's the part that I guess is the more frustrating thing to play against them. But honestly, at this point, if you played Overwatch long enough and you see like common chokes and you know common bounce spots, it is quite avoidable, so I will agree with you partly there, but like, I guess I'm just nitpicking at the part where it's like, it's on you for not seeing the random bomb. It's mostly the bounces. The rest of it, I agree though. If a Junkrat gets value by assassinating you, you applaud it, move on, and if you're on the receiving end, head on a swivel, and you know this Junkrat is sneaky, you have to account for it. I know Junkrat's a little silent when he double jumps and mines over stuff, but like, that's on you now to have that situational awareness and to learn to anticipate it. It's a lot like playing against a Sombra, playing against a Tracer. It is a skill check. Instead of looking front to back, you do have to be hyper aware of side angles. Oh, Junkrat's not random spamming main anymore. He's probably sneaking around. When a team fight engages and you're focusing forward, you know he's probably going to pop out because he's waiting for the right time to attack on a different angle. This is where you can kind of bait the engagement, and then you kind of turn around and then deal with them before letting them come in. This is how good teams deal with it. When you know like another side angle is coming with Tracer, with Sombra, with Junkrat, you have to learn how to bait and disengage, and that is another skill check for Overwatch. This is why he's dealable in higher elos, but annoying for like, you know, players who don't know how to deal with flankers and assassins. You know what I mean? Hot take, folks are not just banning Sombra because they're scared of her. They're banning her because a bad Sombra basically makes you have one less player. I say this all the time, but it's the same thing. It goes both ways too, right? People ban Sombra because it's a frustrating to play against, but then it's very easy to have a bad Sombra that does nothing. But for some reason, when somebody plays against a Sombra and it's frustrating, they conveniently forget if they are playing against a bad Sombra. Like they magically forget, but statistically, you're just as likely to have to be annoyed by a good Sombra and play against a bad one over the course of your time too. And you'll obviously remember the times that you had the bad Sombra on your team specifically. Hot take, Flashpoint's chaos is what makes it adrenaline pumping fun and is the most fun game mode in the game. Have you ever played musical chairs and actually wrestled a chair from someone? That rush you get when you race someone to the point, making your way through a small town on top of actually battling for control of it, is nothing compared to the straightforward objectives of the other game modes. That is not a popular take. I won't actually say it's a hot take, but it's certainly not a popular take because for some reason a lot of people hate Flashpoint, but I'm with you on this. I like Flashpoint's chaos. It's like Control light, or a faster paced Control, and I'm in for it. I agree, and they've reworked some of the maps quite a bit, like Suravasa's like water room now, with that water in the pool on the bottom, opened up the stairway. It's a lot better to fight on, and I do think Flashpoint's chaos is what makes it fun for sure. I like the musical chairs analogy too. I dig that. Hot take, Hanzo's projectile buff was unnecessary and makes it feel unfun and unfair to play against him. Yeah, but he's still kind of average and mid even after those buffs because everybody else is getting relative power scaling thanks to these new perks and just how the game has been evolving. It can be unfun to play against him. I wouldn't even say that unfair right now, unless the projectile buff is absolutely egregious, but it doesn't feel that way right now. Maybe I'm wrong because I've only seen like 3 Hanzos as well because it's just not popular right now. Hot take, the new heroes should be the weakest part of a season. Malga season and Hazard season were bland as all hell because they were simply the only thing to do in a season, leading me to often prefer off-hero seasons to hero seasons. Stadium added so much fun to the game that Freya was just more the cherry on top, and that's how hero seasons should be. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get a Stadium every season. That was like a big developed mode. So I disagree with this. I do think new heroes are the biggest part of a season. What distinguishes a season to you? Originally, it would either be a new hero or a new map, and they would rotate that. But they have since stopped doing the map thing because they felt there's too many maps in the game, which I honestly agree. There's like 40 maps in the game now, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot to learn, and I think they're just refining their current map pool and fixing some of the outliers is more than enough. Like on a given day, it's very rare that I ever play the same map twice, and I think that's fine. So I still think new heroes should be the biggest part of a season in terms of shifting up the meta and shifting up the gameplay and hoping that that hero doesn't necessarily not like shift up or shake up the meta, but like enough to kind of like make them viable to see different hero combinations and different ways to tackle them. So let me ask you this, why do you prefer an off-hero season? Off-hero seasons, what are they doing specifically in those seasons that is making you enjoy them more than a hero season? It's always going to be these small side modes, and they're not even like limited to like main hero seasons or off seasons. That's just like based on the time of the year. Right now, we're getting Lucio Ball coming in. Right now in this season, we're getting Wuang. But technically, if you want to fill in the off season, they could have thrown in Lucio Ball last season, but they're kind of just like, they're throwing it in now because I'm pretty sure a lot of people complained about it. And like, it's like, okay, let's throw this as a cherry on top. So like maybe this Wuang season is going to be like one of the best seasons in a long time simply because they've added more, and Wuang is a cherry on top, but you're looking forward to Lucio Ball specifically. So I mean, these takes are extremely subjective, but I still feel the new heroes should be the biggest part of a season no matter what. Like they're the whole reason why the game exists. It's a hero shooter, and a new character is always like the best part of it, especially because they're stopping the maps. Maybe the map reworks come in the off season now on the off hero seasons, but like, yeah. The most annoying part of this community is people calling for the rework or removal of characters they don't like playing against or don't have the skill to play around. Facts. Agree. Not a hot take. It's actually kind of infuriating, but I bite my tongue because I'm a good boy creator. But no, not really. I'm just going to say it and I'll just amplify it. I agree. Like, why? I remember the whole delete Brig movement in like 2019. It was like, okay, I thought it was funny for like a bit, but then like people were like irrationally getting really angry. And I agree, like Brig was a little insane. And even after the nerfs, they were still calling for it. So I was just like, okay, guys, relax. You know what I mean? Okay, this is certainly a take here. Hot take, Overwatch will always be a mess to a degree because the core idea of the 3 classes can't work. Healing will always mess with the feedback from your attacks, making it inconsistent and less satisfying. The fundamental source of enjoyment in a shooter is getting good feedback from hitting your shots and winning duels. Support's job is to make your damage not matter and to skew duels to one person's advantage. Tanks are all about perfect positioning, but they're also the class that's going to see the least amount of the battlefield, and so they're the least informed about where they should be positioning in the entire lobby. The class makes no sense without a minimap. That will never be added though, and not without reason. Looking at a minimap isn't the most fun in the world, and keeping track of that info during teamfights could be overwhelming. That is quite the take. Yeah, I think this is actually a good hot take in the sense that it's extremely hot. Your part right here. The fundamental source of enjoyment in a shooter is getting good feedback from hitting your shots, which you can still do, and winning duels. I agree. What about a source of enjoyment in a shooter playing as a healer? Supports are like over a third of the population of Overwatch. What do you mean? So the source of an enjoyment in a shooter, you're gonna conveniently omit the other third. I know you talked about tank and the source of enjoyment in a shooter as a duelist or like as a damage hero, and you mentioned stuff about the tank, but mostly I feel like you're a DPS player. So your enjoyment may be slightly cut back here because sometimes in your 1v1, it's less satisfying because you can't win your duel. I sort of get that, but now you're omitting everybody else who's also getting enjoyment from saving somebody at the perfect time and pumping them with heals at the last second with an amazing nano or last second transcendence. What about that? What about now, let me flip it back to you as a DPS player. Getting good feedback from hitting your shots, I think the game and sound audio of hitting dinks as like, the tracer and then like feeling that like zip into them feels very satisfying, but there's also satisfaction of like skirting the healers, right? Killing them first, or like finding them isolated and picking the right target and like killing the Zen, or like annoying the Ana and baiting her cooldowns before ultimately killing her. And then you can, kill and win your duels because like you're better than the opponent because you strategically remove the stuff that would skew the fight because they're pocketing the person you're shooting. I feel like the whole point of this game is to not be like a strict 1v1 with no healing like Counter-Strike or anything like that. Like, this is a big core part of it, and these three classes totally work in this game. There is more strategic depth to the game in that sense where you have to learn how to play around that. You can still hit your shots, you can still play Widowmaker and avoid the whole healing thing and one-shot people and still win duels. Support's job is to make your damage not matter. No, your damage still matters because your damage in a 5v5 dynamic hero shooter is still pressuring and drawing attention and threat. Now there's that one person and the healer pocketing one person and you're dueling them. You are taking a 1v2, but you are drawing two people, right? That matters. Yes, it's going to skew duels in a strict 1v1. This is like that one Ashe player that's trying to duel the Ashe pocketed by a Mercy. You're not going to win that, but they always will just keep taking that fight for some reason and then just shift blame to the rest of the team being like, this game's trash, like Mercy, blah, 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 blah. Like, bro, you're taking a 1v2, of course. Like, do you not know how to do math? But if you're smart about it, and maybe it's like, oh, hey, let me like shoot the Ashe as a single Ashe versus the Ashe and Mercy, and then the Ashe turns to me, and I go, oop, and I duck away for a second. May not feel as fun because you're not shooting them, but like, this is part of being tactical. It's like, I peek here, peek not. I shoot you once in the head, the Mercy is forced to heal, the Ashe is staring at you, and is no longer shooting the rest of the team. You're technically doing a good job because you're like drawing a lot of attention and space, right? You're pulling two people's attention while you're a solo person. People need to think about hero shooters in that sense, instead of just raw kills and winning duels, resource trading, and how much attention you're drawing. It's why Tracer is always dominant in pro play, because she is one of the only heroes that is able to draw attention from not one, two, even three, even four people if she's a god, because she's so slippery, pops in at the right time, one person turns around, two people turn around. If you don't turn around, deal with her, she'll just 1v5 the entire team, you know what I mean? Good hot take that sparked some discussion, I will say that. And that'll be all for this week. Thanks for listening to me yap.